Good morning. It's Friday, 27th of May 2016. I am Darsa Ponnambalam and you are listening Athavan News. Let's take a look at the highlights on today's newspapers. The main highlight of today's Daily Mirror says, PM seeks separate reports from Navy and CA. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has requested both Eastern Province Chief Minister Nasir Ahmed and the Navy to submit reports on the incident that took place in a school in the East, where the Chief Minister had verbally abused a senior naval officer. Sources from the Prime Minister's office told the Daily Mirror that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe would hand over the reports to President Maithripala Sirisena when he returns to the country after attending the G7 summit in Japan. Another highlight says, Horavapatana OIC's daughter stabbed to death. OIC's son-in-law arrested over death of wife. The Kalanwindunaweva police yesterday arrested the son-in-law of the Horavapatana police OIC in connection with the killing of his wife, the OIC's 20-year-old daughter. Her mother, who attempted to save her and received serious injuries in the scuffle, was admitted to the Kalanwindunaweva hospital and transferred in critical condition to the Anuradhapura teaching hospital. There's a news says, military camps out of bounds for Eastern Province Chief Minister Nasir. Eastern Province Chief Minister Nasir Ahmed will not be allowed to enter military camps, and the three posts have decided not to participate in functions attended by the Chief Minister, the Ministry of Defence said yesterday. Another news says, MR urges full prop. Responding to the behavior of Eastern Province Chief Minister Nasir Ahmed, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa urged a full investigation into the matter and said insults directed at the security forces by political authorities should stop. The highlight in the middle says, President arrives in Japan for G7 summit. President Maithripala Sirisena arrived in Nagoya in southern Japan last morning to participate in the G7 outreach summit in Ise-shima, an exotic island south of Nagoya. There's a news says, death sentences of 70 commuted to life terms. The death sentences imposed on 70 prisoners have been commuted to life imprisonment based on recommendations made by a committee headed by Justice Nimal E. Dissanayake. With that story, let's move to the highlights on Ceylon today. The main highlight says, Tajuddin killing meticulously planned. Andra Senanayaka, Sambika Pereira further remanded. The CID yesterday informed the Colombo Additional Magistrate Nisanda Piris that the murder of Sri Lanka rugby player Osim Tajuddin had been carried out after meticulously detailed planning by those who collaborated in the killing. The CID told Horde that the evidence that has mounted from inquiries into the player's murder had indicated that it had been a carefully planned crime. The CID added that several suspects from different strata in society will shortly be arrested for interrogations in connection with the killing. Another highlight says, floods left 61,000 homeless, 102 dead and 100 missing. The number of displaced persons accounted up to yesterday was 61,000, with nearly 100 reported missing by relatives. The death toll of flood and landslide victims was confirmed at 102 by the Disaster Management Center. Assistant Director of the Disaster Management Center Pradeep Kodipli said, search operations were however continuing for about 100 missing persons. There is a highlight says, Namal's coordinating secretary quizzed. The FCID yesterday tracked down 1.1 kilograms of gold stashed away in a house belonging to UPFA Kampantota district MP Namal Rajapaksa's coordinating secretary at Veva Road, Borales Kamuva. According to FCID sources, a suspect had also been taken into custody in this connection. He is being questioned to find out how he came into possession of so much of gold. The gold was concealed in a secret drawer of a wooden almirah. The suspect was a coordinating secretary attached to the Ministry of Irrigation of the previous regime, besides being MP Namal Rajapaksa's coordinating secretary too. The suspect was to be produced before the 4th Magistrate Court yesterday. Another highlight says, Kotha's case on October 3. The Supreme Court bench comprising Justice Sisiradi Abru and Uppali Abhiyaratna yesterday fixed the hearing of former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa's fundamental rights application for 3rd of October. Finally, I'm taking a quick look at the highlights on Daily News. Release of 15 elephants. High Court stays magistrate's order. The Colombo High Court yesterday issued an interim order suspending the Colombo Chief Magistrate's order to release 15 elephants to their owners on bond. High Court Judge Manilal Vaidyathilake made this order consequent to revision application filed by the Attorney General challenging the Chief Magistrate's order on legal grounds. The interim order will be effective until June 9. Another highlight says Lanka, Vietnam to strengthen cooperation in agriculture technology. President Maithripala Sirisena and Vietnamese Prime Minister agreed to establish close cooperation in agriculture technology related to rice and other common crops. This was decided during the bilateral discussions between the two countries held at the Nagoya Tokyo Hotel yesterday. President Sirisena invited Vietnamese entrepreneurs to invest in Sri Lanka. The Vietnamese Prime Minister said his country wanted to enhance bilateral relations in many fields, including agriculture, industry, trade and investment. There are highlights says PM holds for report over Eastern Province Chief Minister's incident. Horapotana OIC's daughter hacked to death by son-in-law. Andrew Senanayaka won't make confession. MR's coordinating secretary found with 1.1 kilograms of gold. That's all for today's newspaper highlights, and join us tomorrow too. Thank you.